Today we're going to talk about cost, income, and coin value problems, okay? Again, like last time, these are going to be word problems, but these are more specifically, we're going to be talking about cost, income, and coin value. I'll explain what I mean by coin value problems. So that's what it says on your notes, okay? So let's fill this out here. It says when solving word problems, a chart, okay? So for these type of questions, these type of word problems, charts is going to be used a lot, and this is going to be really helpful for us. When solving word problems, a chart helps us to. Anybody know what to write there? Yes, sir.
I'm gonna guess organized data.
You're exactly right. Organized data or organized fact. Okay, so I'm gonna write this down. So you guys should too. Organize. Let's given facts. Organized given facts. Okay. Organize. Okay. That's end right there. Okay. Organize the given facts. Okay. Organize. If I know how to spell that. Hold on. Okay. All right. Then we use the following formula to organize our chart. Okay. First, for cost. So let's see, for example, like let's say that we're buying 100 iPhones. Okay, how much is the total cost for buying 100 iPhones? How do you figure this out? Let's say iPhone is it's only $5, right? Let's say each iPhone. Oh, it's not?
You guys want to buy all the iPhones for $30.
Right. So let's say it's $5, and you're buying 100 of them. How do you figure out the total cost? Yeah. Exactly. This is easy, right, guys? Yes. Hello. We do this many times, right? So what's the formula? So let's write down the formula underneath. For cost, it's going to be, well, for example, if I'm buying 100 iPhones, I'm going to write down number of items. For example, if I'm buying 100 of these iPhones times, of course, what are we going to multiply number of items by? Yes, sir. Samuel in the back.
Price.
Yeah, price per item, right? Right. Is that okay? Price per item. Okay, then next, the income. So next formula we're going to talk about is income. So for example, let's say that we work 5 hours and they paid us $100 per hour. Okay, how do you figure out your income for that 5 hours? Yes.
Number of hours times.
Exactly, number of hours you work times how much you pay. So these formulas are pretty straightforward, right? These are formulas that we already know. So I'm going to say income. Yeah, that's the RF. Remember, we're doing this first. Okay, income equals to hours worked times what? What are we going to multiply by? Yeah, some other person. We just asked Samuel. We just said it. Yeah. Yeah, amount that you get paid per hour, or maybe per day. I don't know. Depends on what kind of job it is. Most likely on your homework, it's going to be per hour thing. Okay, so wage. We're gonna say wage per hour, right? Like I said, it depends on the job. It could be per hour or per day or per year or something. Okay. All right. Then lastly, we said coin value. I'm gonna put that in parentheses, because it doesn't always have to be coin, but most of the times they like to give you the coin value problem. So basically, can somebody guess what we mean by coin value problem? Yeah.
Number of coins, value,
You're right. Yeah, like for example, if I have 2 quarters and a dime, how much do I have? 60 cents, right? How did you figure out the coin value? That's the sort of thing we're talking about. Like each quarters are worth, well, how much? 25 cents. So if I have 2 quarters, that's 50 cents, right? Plus a dime, 10 cents. Does that make sense? So how do we do this? Well, we just same thing as before. Number of what? number of coin that you have, right, times what? What do you multiply it by? If you have nickels, like let's say you have 5 nickels, how much is that, guys? 5, that's 5 cents? Yeah, 5 cents each. So what do? If you have 5 nickels, you're going to do 5 times 5. So what do you do? Yeah. What should I write here? Value of a coin, yeah. Okay. Value of coin, okay? So, of course, on your, as you will see in a minute, they're not going to just have all nickels. You know, they could have nickels and dimes or quarters and dimes. You know what I mean? So you have to do it for each of these coins. Does that make sense? To get the value of these coins. Any question? Do you see how all these formulas are really similar? There's something, number of item times how much each of those things cost. Right? That's basically what it is. You guys get that? So all 3 of these formulas are really simple. You just multiply number of items you have times the price per item or value per item. Is that okay? All right, so then let's look at our first example. Okay. Any questions so far? Let's move up then. Okay, anybody want to read for us example 1? Okay, go ahead, sir.
Yes. Apple sells for 25 cents and a peach sells for 15 cents.
Mm-hmm.
A total of 10 pieces of fruit were sold for a total cost of $2.10.
Mm-hmm.
How many apples were sold?
Exactly. Thank you. So as we read this, of course, we're going to do step 1, which is think about how many unknowns we have, right? So who thinks they know how many unknowns you have there? Show me with your finger. Okay. How many unknowns do we have? Okay, I want 100% participation. If you need more time, that's okay. Read it again. Okay. What about you? Okay. You guys, some of you have 4? You sure? There are actually, most of you are right, 2. What are the 2 unknowns? What is it that we want to find? One person? You're right, there are 2 unknowns. What are these 2 unknowns that we want to? Paige? How many apples and how many peaches were sold? You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So guess what? That was our step 1. For step 2, we're going to declare our variables. So let's declare our variable. Step 2. Which one should we declare our variable for? You have a choice. You could either do it for the number of apples you sold or number of peaches you sold. Which one? Yeah. You think peach? Look at what it says at the end. How many apples were sold? So let's just, did they ask for how many peaches were sold? No. So why don't we just which letter do you think is appropriate for this one? A. Let A equals to number of apples sold. But there were 2 unknowns, right? Not only that, how do we declare for the other unknown? Samuel? Okay, hold on to that thought, okay? Let me ask you this. How many pieces of fruit were sold? 10. So Mimi, if I sold 1 apple, how many peaches did I sell? 9, right? What about class? What if I sold 2 apples? How many peach did I sell? 8. What if I sold 3? What if I sold 5 apples? What if I sold 6 apples? What if I sold A? Not 8. A. What if I sold A amount? Then how do you figure out the number of peach? Say it again. 10 minus 8 is exactly right. So then, write this down. Wouldn't it be the total minus what? How many apples you know what? I'm going to use capital A. What do you think? I'm not going to use small letter A, guys. Hey, it may look like a 9. I don't want to get that confused and get it wrong. Then 10 minus A is equal to what? Number of peach we sold, okay? Is that okay? Do you see how I declare these 2 variables? So this only works because there are only 2 items, right? Think about it. If there are only 2 items and they told you their total number was 10 of them, right? 10 of them. You just do 10 minus one of the item and it gives you the other. Doesn't that logically make sense? There were 10 total items and there were only 2 items, right? Apple and peach. So if A represents number of apples that was sold, then total minus number of apples that was sold gives you number of peach. Just like if there was only 1 apple sold, it would be 9 peach, because 10 minus 1 is 9. Do you guys get that? So please, this is the important part right here. A lot of time people forget. Lots of time people forget that, you know, how do you get the number of peach? Well, you have to use a little bit of logic here, right? If there are 10 total and there are only 2 items, of course it's 10 minus one of the items. Is that right, guys? Then, okay, are we okay with this? Okay, so what you going to, so they give you a chart. Let's see whether we can organize our data here. What goes up here first? Fruit? Yes. Apple? Yeah, it doesn't matter. No, okay, but let's just do apple. And here, what goes in here? Peach. By the way, did I have to declare a variable for A only? Is it possible for me to do for P, for peach? Yeah, if I did, then how many apples would have, how many apples would be sold? If I let P be number of peach that was sold, how would you represent number of peach that was sold? 10 minus P. Does that make sense? It doesn't really matter, right? But since they asked for apple, why not just declare a variable for apple? Okay, so now let's fill in the blanks. You should be able to fill all of them, all 6 boxes here. What do I write for apple? Raise your hand if you think you know. Number says number. What do we write for this number of apple? Yeah. A, exactly. That's what we don't know. And what about for peach? Number of peach, Michael? 10 minus A. By the way, can I do A minus 10? No. Okay, that we get a negative number if you did that. Okay. All right. What about price for each apple? 25. Should I write 0.25 or 25? You could do 0.25 in terms of a dollar, or you could do it as a cent. For this one, I think it'd be better to do as cents because the amount is kind of small. If the amount is sort of big, then you probably want to deal with dollars. You know what I mean? Okay, so I'm going to write 25 because I don't want to deal with decimals. And what about peach? How much were peach? 15. Okay, then just the apple. How much was cost for just the apple? Yeah. 25A is correct. What about for the peach? Raise your hand. Okay, one person think. Aiden, what do you think? What's the cost for peach? If we had 10 minus 8 of them, and each of these peach costs 15 cents, $10 minus 15A. Okay, yeah, you don't have to multiply that out in your head right now. Could I just write 15 times, in parentheses what, guys? 10 minus A. Can I do that? Yeah.
Isn't it 0.15 or 0.25?
Right. If you wanted to keep everything in terms of dollar, you could do it. But like I said, since the amount that we're talking about is pretty small, I'm going to just leave it as cent. Is that okay? But you're right. If the amount is sort of big, you probably want to keep everything in terms of dollars. Nice. If I keep everything in cent, what's nice about it? What about the decimal places? You don't have to worry about them until at the very end. Right? Are we okay with this? Now let's do step 3. Step 3. What's step 3? We have to come up with an equation, right? Go ahead, everybody try. I'll give you time. So, Tajwar, what do you think? What did you come up with an equation? Do you see how the chart is helpful? Okay, how do I come up? What equation did you get?
25A
Good.
15A plus 150 equals 200.
Exactly. 25A plus 15 times 10 minus A equals to? Should I write 2.1 or 210? 210, because everything is in terms of cent. If you put 2.1, that means 2 cents and 1 out of 10 cents or something. You know what I mean? 2.1 cents. That'd be wrong. Okay, so since we're keeping 25 and 15 as cent, we want to write $2.10 as a cent. Does that make sense? Very good. Now, as you notice, all you have to do is add. What does this represent? 25A. That represents just the cost for the apples only, plus just the cost of the peach should give you the total cost. You see how that equation is made? Really simple. Okay, then, of course, do we know how to solve? Yeah, go ahead, everybody try. It should be easy enough. Here we go. So we're going to, somebody tell me what to write as the next step here. 1, 2, 3, 4. A lot of you. Who have an icon? Matthew, tell me what to write. Good. We distribute 15. Tell me what to write.
25A plus 150 minus 15A.
Good. Did you all get 15A over here? You got to distribute 15 to both of the terms, right? There are 2 terms inside the parentheses. Right, guys? All right, then of course, should we simplify left side first, Tajwar? Yeah. So Dakota, what do I get if I simplify the left side here? 25a plus 25a minus 15a should give, yeah, exactly. 10a plus 150 is equal to 210, right? Okay, then what did you get next? How about Brianna? Subtract 100. Yeah, subtract 150 to both sides. Did you all get 10a equals to 60? How many of you got 6? Okay, how many people wrote down as a sentence? Because here's step 5. Oh, you didn't? Okay, remember step 5 is to write as a sentence and check and see if it works, okay? If you have time. So they sold 6 apples is what they asked. They said, how many apples did they sell, right? Dana, does that make sense? Okay. And now, did they ask for how many peaches were sold? No, but could you figure out if they asked you? How many peaches were sold then? Carolyn? How do you know there are 4 peaches? Yeah, because look in the very beginning. Didn't we say there were 10 altogether? So if you know what A is, 10 minus A gives you a number of peach. Okay, 10 minus 6 is of course is 4. Does that make sense? Easy enough? Do you see the kind of homework you will see for tonight? All right, then let's move on to the next example. Okay. Who wants to read for us example 2? Somebody that didn't get to read. How about Lindsay? Go ahead.
Laura and Kip went to the record store during its sale. Together they spent $38.50.
Right.
Each record cost $3.50, and Kip bought one more than Cora. How many records did each one buy?
Now, think about how many unknowns do we have in this problem. First of all, do we know what's going on in this problem? What are they doing? They went to buy some record store, right? Do you guys know what records are? They're coming back nowadays because people like these old, it looks like CD, but it's so black and bigger. Okay, they bought some records and they spent $38.50, right? And it says each is $3.50. What do they want you to figure out? What are the unknowns here? How many unknowns, first of all, do we have? Let me see with your hand, with your fingers. How many unknowns do you see in this problem? Okay, some of you are still thinking. I want 100% participation here. Okay, Jenny, what do you think? How many unknowns do you think we have? It says, look at very end. How many records did each buy? So how many unknowns do you think? Yeah. 2 is correct. Very right. Who could tell me what these unknowns are then? There are 2 unknowns. What is it that we... Kali?
How many records Korea got? How many records Kip got?
Exactly. How many records Korea bought and how many records Kip bought? Does that make sense? You guys understand? So we're going to let X... Which one should we declare a variable for? Which one has smaller amount? Is it C or K? Because, how do you know? It said Kip bought what? One more than, so I think it's best to write. So let's declare our variable for. Which letter should we use? C be number of record Korea bought. Okay. Then, how many variables could we use during first semester? Only one. We have 2 unknowns. How do you represent the other unknown using this variable C? Who could help me how to do that one? Patty?
C plus 1.
Exactly. C plus 1 equals to?
The number of records Kip bought.
Exactly right. Number of record of Kip bought. So we have this one and this one, right? That's how you declare, right, the variable for 2 unknowns that we were looking for. What do you think will go into the box up here on the left? We're gonna write? Yeah. We need to write what? There are 2 people. Who are these 2 people?
Korea
Yeah. And who could tell me what we put down for number? This means number of record that they bought. Yes, Paige? C for Korea and then? Exactly. C plus 1 per kip. Are we good? Does anybody know what to write for price? Then. Livy? $3 for 50 cents for which one? Both is correct. This time, right? I guess all the records are same price. Now, should I write as 3.5 or 350 as a cent for this one? I think 3.5 would be better. I don't want to write this as 350 cents, okay? It's too much. All right. Now, then what is the cost just for Korea? How much did she or he spend? How much did she spend? Yeah. 3.5 times C. Isn't that how we, so number of price times price, number of item times price, doesn't that give you the cost for that person? And of course, what about for a kip? Yes, sir? 3.5 times C plus 1 in parentheses, right? Is it important to have parentheses there? Good. Now, it's very similar to the last one that we did. How are we going to come up with an equation? Notice this chart helps us to really come up with an equation a lot easier, right? Who could tell me how to do that? One person? Two? Okay, why don't you discuss with your group? Go ahead. I'll give you time. Think about it. How are we going to come up with an equation? Help each other out. Go ahead, guys. Who thinks they know the equation for this problem? It is very similar to example 1. And you'll find that when we do this chart, most of them are like all similar, okay? Let's see, who haven't I called today? I haven't called Samuel in front here. What do you think, sir?
3.5C.
Okay.
3.5 C
Equals to 38.5. Very good. Where did he get this from? He's correct. What does this mean, this equation? What have we done here? No one knows? Dana? Yeah, what does this equation represent? First of all, what does 3.5C represent? That's? Yeah, the amount that Korea paid plus what? Yeah, this is how much KIP paid, right? 3.5 times C plus 1. Of course, they said altogether they spent $38.50. By the way, do I need to put 0 here? Right there?
No.
Not really, right? 38.5 is the same thing as 38.50, right? You don't need to put 0. Like here, do I need to put 0 here? No, okay. You know. Right? Okay, so then let's solve. Okay, so of course we're going to write 3.5 C plus. We're going to distribute this. Somebody tell me what I get when I distribute. Of course, you got to distribute it twice. Yes? Yeah, 3.5 equals to 38.5. Would you all agree? Okay, next. Bella, what do I do next? What should I do next? Exactly. Aren't these two like terms? What do we get with Spencer when I add those together? Yeah, 7C plus 3.5 equals to 38.5. Yes? Okay, go ahead, everybody finish it up. I'll wait. How many people got 5 as the answer for this? And you subtract, very good, 3.5 from both sides. Don't you get 35 on the right side? Divide both sides by 7. So am I done? Or do I need to write this as a sentence?
Yes.
Okay, how do I write the answer as a sentence? Angel, what should I write here? Correct. So, Eric, how does she know that? Yeah, you gotta pay attention. Come on, guys. Okay, so we know that C equals to 5, then Eric. How many records and does KIP buy?
6.
How did you know?
Your formula C plus 1.
Exactly. In the very beginning, we said to get number of record for KIP, you just have to add 1 to it, right? So if Korea bought 5 of them, of course KIP bought 6. Easy enough?
Yes.
Any questions? Pretty straightforward. All right, the next example. This one I messed up on first period because, but hopefully if you're listening first period, you should really look at this. Okay, sorry, I messed up big time. But take a look at this, and I sort of got distracted. So anyway, all right, because we had to watch that thing fly by. Yeah. Now, taking off from the airport. Anyway, let's look at example 3, everybody. And if you're in period 3, you should be watching this, okay? I mean period 1. All right, here we go. Okay, who wants to read for us example 3? How about Sammy? Go ahead. All right, everybody listen now. Go ahead.
Jeremy had 34 nickels and quarters to bring.
Hold on a second. Aaron, did you have a question? Oh, okay, go ahead. Read.
Jeremy had 34 nickels and quarters totaling $4.20. He had two less than twice as many nickels as quarters. How many of each did he have?
Okay, this one is an interesting problem because I'll show you where I messed up. Anyway, okay, so how many unknowns do we have, first of all? Show me with your finger. How many unknowns do we have? Okay, good. Some of you had, Kevin, what do you think? With your, show me with your finger, how many? Okay, good. Dana, how many? Okay, good. You're right. Kevin, what are the 2 unknowns? You're right. You guys are correct. There are 2.
Are Jeremy and the nickels and the quarters.
Right, it's not Jeremy. It's how many nickels Jeremy has and how many quarters Jeremy has. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, those are the 2 unknowns. Now, this is where I messed up. Which one does he have more of or less? We want to declare a variable for what he has less of, right? How many? Does he have more nickels or more quarters?
More nickels.
He has more nickels. Is that right?
Yes.
So what should we declare a variable for? Number of quarters. That's where I messed up. I sort of read it wrong because I got confused. It says he had 2 less than twice as many nickels. I saw nickels first, and I thought it was okay. So the way, so if you're like me, to help you remember, read it this way. Don't worry about this 2 less than. If you could just read this as he had twice as many nickels as quarters. What do you have more?
Nickels.
He has more nickels. Does that make sense? So we're gonna let what? Q be number of quarters. I did it the other way and I got messed up. Sorry. Period 1. Okay, then what's the? Let me write it underneath. It's better to write it underneath so you can see all. Then what? How do we declare? So how do we represent number of nickels then? Okay. There's an easy way and there's a sort of interesting. Okay, so this problem is sort of interesting because, all right, Michael, what do you think?
Let QQ minus 2.
2q minus 2 will work too. Okay, that's one method. So method 1. Method 2. This one you could do it in 2 ways because they give you more information than you need, turns out. So you could let q be number of quarters again. And just like Michael said, then you could say, it says 2 less than, so it's going to be something minus 2, right? What is that something that we're subtracting from? Remember less than, you got to switch the order around? What is that other one? It says he had 2 less than what? Twice as many nickels as quarters. So what do we write here? 2 q equals the number of nickels, right? But turns out there's an easier way to represent how many nickels you have because they give you a little more information. Anybody see it? Because if you see this is a lot easier. You could do it this way. This is fine, but there's another information you could use actually to represent number of nickels. One person see it? Okay, I want you to go ahead. Everybody think as a group. There's actually an easier way because this one is sort of interesting. They give you like more than one way to do this one. Okay, so I'll wait. Go ahead, think about it. Guys, I'm telling you, this one is sort of interesting because they're giving us another way to do it, and the other way of representing number of nickels is so much easier. So normally they don't do this, but in this problem they do. There are 2 ways of doing this. All right, 1, 2, 3 people, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 7. Spencer, what do you think, sir?
34 minus 2.
Yeah, look at how many coins do they have total? 34. Can we then say if there's this number of quarters you have, how many nickels do you have then? There's only 2 types. If total number of coins are 34, how many? If Q is number of quarters, what can you write here? What can you write? We just said it.
34 minus
Yeah, if there are 34 coins altogether and Q is the number of quarters you have, it's simply 34 what? Minus Q. Which one's easier? This way or this way? Yeah. It'll still work both ways, okay? It doesn't matter, but I think method 1 is a lot better. Does that make sense? So this, like I said, this problem is kind of interesting because they give you 2 ways of doing it. Normally they don't do that, but. So let's use this one. And should we use a chart? No, we're going to use a chart since you're going to see that. So let's do a chart. And this chart is really easy. It's really similar to what we had before. So it's going to be, guess what we're going to have here? Quarters, right? And then what do we, quarters, and then what do we have on the bottom? Okay, and we're going to have, how many columns do you think we're going to have? Just as before, we're going to have 3 columns here. And guess what's going to be on top? Look at the other, so sometimes they don't give you a chart. We could actually make a chart. It's really simple. This chart is always going to look something like this. What's going to be on top here? One person knows? Look at all the other charts. Yes. Number of what? This time? Number of? Not quarters, because if you write quarters, then we have 2 types of coins. So yes, you should say number of coins. What about the next one? We're going to multiply them, right? What are we going to multiply this by? Price per what? Price per coin. Very good. And this is going to, of course, equal to the cost. Okay. Is that okay? Do you understand? All right. Go ahead, everybody, fill it out. What do you think? And we're going to use method 1. Okay. Like I said, you could actually use method 2. Get the right answer. Go ahead and fill it out. I'll wait. Okay. So on your homework tonight, if they don't give you a chart, you can make a chart. It's really easy. It's just going to always, right? Most of the time, it's going to look like this. Yes.
Do you have to make a chart?
Yes, I want you to. I want you to get.
Even when they don't have a chart?
Yeah, even when they don't have a chart, I think it's be easy. For this tonight's homework, yes. Go ahead, everybody try. I want you to get sort of practice of making charts like this. Okay, go ahead. Everybody try. Royce, what should I put down for number of quarters in this box right here?
Q.
Q, that's what we said. Q is going to be the number of quarters you have. I'm sorry. Here you go. What about for number of nickels then? How about Joseph? Take a look at what we did here. Didn't we say let Q be number of quarters? And since there are 34 coins in all together, and there are only 2 types of coins, quarters or nickels, how many nickels do we have? So Joseph, here, let's say we have quarters and nickels in this bag, right? And there are 34 of them. Let's say I have 1 quarter. How many nickels do I have? If in this bag there are 34 coins, and if one of them is only quarter, guess what? The rest of them are nickels, right? How many nickels would I have? 33. If I had 2 quarters, how many nickels would I have? What if I have X amount of quarters? How many nickels would I have? How were you able to get 32? What did you do? You did total minus how many quarters you have, right? So if we have X number of quarters, how many nickels would you have? Total minus how many quarters, right? Which would be 34 minus. Yeah. Isn't that what we write here? Isn't that what we said right here? 34 minus Q. You see that, Joseph? Okay. Any questions so far, guys? Could I have used that second method and wrote 2Q minus 2? Yeah, but which one's easier? This method. Are we okay? Guys, are we good? What do I write down? The price per coin. They haven't told us, but you should all know, right? Brandon, how much are each quarters? 25 cents. Should I write 0.25 or 25? Let's write 25 because the amount is not that big. It's $4.10. What about nickels? How much are these nickels? 5. So then what's the cost just for the quarters only? 25. Q. What about just for the nickels? 5 times what? 34 minus Q. Can somebody then come up with an equation? This is why we did all this chart. It helps us to come up with an equation. Aaron, what do you think?
25Q
Plus.
plus 5 times 34 times
Right. Is that the equation?
equals
Equals, yeah, that's just part of it. Equals to how much? 410. Should I write 4.1 or 410? 410 because everything is in terms of cent. Can we solve this? Go ahead, everybody try. Go ahead and solve. I'll wait. And help your group members if you're already done. Some of you are already done. Okay, here we go. After this, what did you write here, Dana? You distributed 5 to 34 minus q, right? What do you get when you do that? Correct? So you get 25q plus 170 minus 5q equals 410, right? Is that okay? Now next, Eunice, what do I do next? What should I do? Exactly, you gather the like term, 25q and then negative 5q, you get 20q. Okay, how many people got q and then what did you do? Subtract both sides by 170, you get 240. Divide both sides by 20, you get what? 12. Now, if I know number of quarters as 12, how many people got 12 as the answer? Very good. Then how do I get the number of nickels now? Number of nickels? Tajwar?
I got 12 quarters.
You got 12 quarters? Yeah. But then how do I find the number of nickels?
You subtract 12 from 34.
Yeah, because there were 34 coins altogether. You subtract 34 minus 12, which is 22. How do I write the answer as a sentence then? Dakota?
Jeremy had 12 quarters.
Exactly, there it is. Any question? Is this easy? Yes? Let's see if it makes sense in terms of method 2. Look at what he said. Look at how many nickels you had. He had twice of quarter minus 2. Does it still work? If we put quarters equals to 12? What's 12 times 2? 24. What's 24 minus 2? 22. It still works out, doesn't it? So this question is sort of interesting. You could have actually done it in method 1 way or method 2. You choose the easier one, right? Does this make sense? Any question? Are we good? Okay? All right, good.